Yo, 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 Keith Ferranta here with my new son, 2 years, son in the family, married to Macy Landon Stankiewicz. So good to have you here today, bro.
Yes,
And
sir.
we've already had a conversation. We're having another conversation. I hope you guys are doing good. Wanted to talk to Landon because, Landon has a real gift of connecting to and care and listening and friendship. And I've just seen the fruit of that ever since we started getting to know you. And you had, I saw it as a ministry, but it's just a ministry of relationship and care for a variety of people, some more unhealthy than others. And
Yeah.
which is how Jesus did it. He loved sinners and he was a friend to sinners and I thought it would just be really great to talk about that. But before we do,
Mhm.
because I use that word ministry, you grew up as a preacher's kid,
I'd sort of.
sort of. Well,
Yeah.
some of it was as a preacher's kid.
Yeah. So I grew up in the church. I always joke that I was born on the third pew, and there's a stain to show it right underneath at my old church. But my parents were extremely involved in the church. My mom went to that church since she was 13. My parents met there. My grandparents both went there. And then around 2017, my parents actually became the pastors of that church. So
Well, that's cool.
I've been a PK for
A few years.
8 years now.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, you feel like a PK. I was telling something the other day. I was talking to one of my mentors, and I was telling him, I go places, and I'm not a pastor officially anymore. It's been years, but I still am a pastor in heart, and I'll go places, and even though we might come under the guise of a business person, they will call us once they get impacted by us. They will call us pastor.
Yeah.
I had one of these leaders just call me pastor, and I had never introduced myself that way. And he was saying it's like a tattoo. Like my mentor was saying, you get tattooed with that, and so people see that and they relate to you, and so you have some of that in you.
Yeah.
There's a tattoo on you, and
There is.
and sometimes there's baggage with the preacher's kid, being a preacher's kid myself, but there is a precious gift in there. So you carry that heart, but you've carried it in a way it's transcended the Sunday morning church scenario. You carry it at the coffee shop, in life, and I don't know if you've articulated it or I'm having it, but what's the mindset that you have of just genuinely caring for people? Where'd you get that?
Yeah. Well, little bit about me. When I won't get too deep into it, but when the recession hit, we lost our house, and I think I was like 12 or 13. So we had to move. I had to move schools. It was like a lot of transition that happened all at once. And at the same time too, I was helping at the youth group, and the youth pastor decided that she wanted me to speak for a week, and I was very excited to speak. And then she just never came back. So I was the youth pastor at 12 years old.
Wow.
And I have all this stuff going on, and I didn't know what to do with it, and I didn't understand what an actual leader did, that they share what's going on, because what was modeled to me was more so be strong and courageous and all this, and unshakable, unflappable. And so I internalized it, and I definitely fell into a depression for a long time there. And I didn't feel like I had anybody to talk to, anyone that would listen. And so I carried that for...
You had a distance because of the model you created, because of that position, you became distanced.
100%. Yeah, it was like everyone could get to know me at this length.
Wow.
Kind of a thing. And so I carried that from 2009 up until 2020. And it manifested in different ways. One day I had tried everything I could possibly think of. I had talked to people about it. I had prayer, all these things. And I just pulled over on the side of the road in Dixon, California. And I put on an album, and I said, all right, God, I'm not leaving until this is gone, because I can't do it anymore. I can't live like this. I just feel like a huge piece of me is missing. And the Lord came through, and it was supernatural. There's no other way to explain it. And they don't write books about it or anything like that. Everything shifted. So for the last 5 years, I've had zero depression, zero suicidal thoughts, all these different things. And so all of that to say, I wanted to be what I wish someone was for me, even though
Oh, wow.
I wasn't available myself. Like I wasn't forthcoming as the person who was going through stuff, but I wanted to be a person who asked good questions, built such a good rapport with someone that they felt like they could open up about that. Because if I'm talking to someone, when you've gone through that, you can see that someone's going through that. And so it's like, okay, how do I navigate this to where you feel like it's a safe space without me pushing you too much? And so I decided I wanted to be what I wish I had. Because
I love that.
yeah, I have 5 siblings, but they're all 11 years or older than me. And they weren't, they were doing their own thing. I mean, who wants to hang out with a 12-year-old kid when you're 21 or 22, kind of a thing. So I felt extremely alone. And so I'm like, I want to be that big brother to the people around me. And so I find myself being drawn to people who you typically wouldn't be drawn to. Like I work at a coffee shop in San Diego, and we have these customers that are real quiet. And they'll come in, they're really timid, and I'll just be like, hey, what's your name? And they'll tell me, and then I'll just start to get to know them. And I've watched all these people break out of their shells over the last 4 years
I love that.
of being over there. And it's just a surface level conversation, but I know that there's some people that come in, like we have an older gentleman, he's in his 70s. Only time he goes outside is to come to our coffee shop, and no one else would give him the time of day for a while. And so I was like, you know what, what's your name? And now he comes in, we have 15-minute conversations every day. And I know it's the highlight of his day. And it's just like, it's those little human connections. Awesome. You know what I mean? It's like, I think it's so important for people to feel seen and to feel heard. And if I can do that just in a little coffee shop for a 1-minute conversation, and we talk about some sports team I don't care about or whatever it is, I find that brings me joy, and that brings me a sense of purpose. Because I think I struggled with what my purpose was since coming back to San Diego 3 years ago. Because it had always been ministry in the traditional sense. I had always been a youth pastor. I'd always been in school ministry. I'd always been doing these things. And then I got a word from my boy, Jordan Gonzalez, shout out if you see it. He's like, you're a pastor, dude, and you get to decide what it looks like. And that was a frustrating word, because you want like A to Z point out of what it looks like. And so I was just like, all right, Lord, what are we doing? And we've just kind of over time gradually started to develop that. You and I had a conversation a few months back about it too, and that kind of gave me a little bit more direction on what this could look like. But I find myself fulfilled by doing this, because I'm not at the coffee shop for money. I'm not making money there. I'm only there a few days a week. I tell everyone it's for social interaction, but really it's just a moment of connection with the city that I live in, because I feel like I'm part of a community, because now I live where I work. And so if I walk around, people recognize me because I'm nice to them, and I have, they all know my name, I know their name, kind of a thing. And it just feels nice to feel like I'm investing back into the people and into the community, and maybe I'm part of something that makes their day,
Wow. There's so many keys in this. It's like, I think if you could catch some of the keys that Landon says, I'll try to pull some of them out so we can focus on them a little bit more. But you said as soon as you accepted that role of youth pastor at 12,
yeah,
by just being thrown into it, there was a separation that happened between you and everybody. Is that what you were saying? It was almost like that thing came on you, which was the old model of separation. And when I was, I remember hearing from pastors in Bible college and this and that would say, these are your sheep. You're not there to trust them.
Yep.
Don't open up to them.
Yep.
You're the shepherd. And so there is like a thing that comes on you that was sort of in the culture. I had it myself, and then that was our relearning curve for the 10 years when we were pastoring more of a traditional church, building and everything. And it was like learning how to be friends. And I remember some people, including my parents, saying, oh, they were watching, saying, this is interesting. Keith is actually becoming friends with his people in his church. Now, there was still another level that I would learn later on beyond that, but that was a level of breakthrough. The next level that I learned the last few years was like, people became my friend because I did, like you said, you reach out, you care about people. I was doing that in that structure. But as soon as I stopped being the pastor, there was a disconnection. They didn't know how to relate to me.
Yeah.
So even though I still had a heart of care, and for them, it was almost like they disconnected and went to the next pastor.
Yeah.
So I learned there was like a glitch in that,
Yeah.
but it was an upgrade. But you took it farther into, hey, and I love that. We all have these journeys in the Lord, which is where we get our breakthroughs.
Mm-hmm.
Come to this breakthrough point. It's like, hey, I want to be for people what I didn't have.
Yeah.
And it was like, I want to be like an older brother that actually cares
Mm-hmm.
about people where I wasn't. And so, which is, Jesus is the older brother.
Mm-hmm.
When you think about that, you're modeling Jesus, because even sometimes we think of an older brother and it's not redeemed.
Yeah.
But you're like, wow, Jesus is an older brother. That's different than like father.
Mm-hmm.
Even though Jesus was representing the Father, it's like, when you have a father in the room, you're like, Father, Heavenly Father. But when you have Jesus, it's like, okay, a little closer, and you're being that to people. That's
Yeah. Because I feel like a lot of people I rub shoulders with would never in a million years in their brain step foot into a church building
yeah,
and have an opportunity for an encounter to be facilitated for them. So if nothing else, if I can chip away at you just by showing you the kindness and you noticing like there is something different. Like there's so many people that are like, what's your secret? I'm like, I'll never tell, kind of a thing. Like,
wow,
like the little, like if I think that I've coined it as long-term evangelism.
yeah,
The door-to-door stuff, the prophetic evangelism, all that stuff. I think there's a lot of merit in that. But for me personally, I love relational evangelism.
it's more sustainable.
I agree.
It's like lifestyle.
Yeah, because I don't want to I want to show people, like we were talking about in the last one about trust. I want to show people that I'm in it for the long haul with you. I'm not just here to get you to say a prayer and then I'm going to leave you and let you
Yeah.
do your thing. Like I want to walk with you. I want to
I
help
love that.
you in any way that I can. I obviously don't have all the answers, but I can plug you in with this person and this person because I do have those connections. And I think that's what gets me more excited than to go in the street and seeing someone healed is awesome. And I think that those things can completely change someone's trajectory too. But just for me personally,
Yeah.
I don't want to say like one is better than the other because that's just not true. It's all the same, in the kingdom. But just for me.
Yeah, no, I would say in the church scenarios, like the more traditional church, we put a program out. The heart is to try to connect people, but then it becomes like it's just one-offs.
Yeah.
And there is breakthroughs. We both got breakthroughs in those, and there's
Mhm.
breakthroughs in those, but there's a step farther where it's like lifestyle. And you found that. And I think this is a key for people, because how many people are like, what's my ministry? And then you're watching a preacher and you're like, okay, either I want to be that because that would be a ministry, or I could never be that. Then I'm just a bump on the log.
Yeah.
And so this is more difficult. My mom has found this, which is, it's different, but hers is like, she doesn't need that platform. She's like, I'm just an encourager. Her language is different, and her kind of maybe how she does it is different. But I've seen her successfully navigate, continuing to be friends with people, whether she moved locations. Whereas my father, who was the pastor, and Dad may be watching this, you're awesome, Dad. But as a pastor, I noticed it was harder because no longer you're pastoring. And even for me as a pastor, I pastored, and then I was on staff, and then you're like just sitting in the congregation. You're like, what's happening here? And it's like, oh, this is what everyone does. And then I learned, like, you kind of just you've made this transition already at a younger age, which means you have a lot more time to bear fruit in it, which it's taken me, like, now I'm 50, and I've had to I'm now living that the last maybe 8 years, where I'm like, I'm not an official pastor somewhere. I mean, I have some ministries I've ran and this and that, but it's like this, I love this.
Yeah.
This is, everyone should embrace this.
Yeah. No.
You can have amazing ministry wherever you're at.
You are the only you that this world has, and to not be yourself is a disservice to the Lord and to yourself and to everyone. You have the missing piece for someone that I don't, and that Keith doesn't, and that person on the stage doesn't. Like, it's so important for you to figure out how you can personally have that ministry without the stage. Because I had the stage and it was great. And I felt so lost without it. And like he's saying, discovering what my stage is. My life is my stage. Bringing excellence to my workplace.
That's a book title right there, bro.
My life is my stage.
My life is my stage.
All right, I'm writing.
I'm giving him a book.
2030.
2026.
There we go. Oh no, the accelerated season.
My life is my stage.
But I think, yeah, just looking at it, like even if you're not that social person, just like bringing excellence to your work. Like be the best at your workplace. Be the best, husband, father, mother, whatever. Bring your best, and that's what honoring the Lord looks like, and that's what ministry looks like. Is people are going to see the difference in what you're doing versus someone else.
Talk to you guys again soon. If you have any questions about this conversation, just put it in the feed, and we would love to, answer questions and just keep having this relational family dynamic, and share this with somebody else that you think could benefit from it. Peace.